Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome. Wherever you are and whatever you are doing, please let me know from where you are listening us from. As you can see, one more time, I am really excited to be with you here today in the Central Africa studio of Mamlakak Broadcast Network. Let me quickly introduce myself. I am Ambassador Gabriela Mbala, and you know that I am in Mamlakak Broadcast Network as a colleague, as an ambassador. Our acronym is MBNK TV News, as you can see at the top of this live. So, welcome back with us. Sit back, have your coffee, have your tea, and stay focused on the message of today. So, let me quickly remind you what MBNK News TV is. MBNK News TV is the channel that opposes the facts of the world to the truth of the kingdom, the original truth. Remember that all our messages are broadcast at the same time on YouTube and on Facebook. So follow us everywhere on your favorite network. Do not forget that all our messages are streamed for you. So if you have friends to tag, if you have colleagues to tag, remember that you can say to your family, to your colleagues, to your friends to follow us on BitChute, on Rumble, to find our podcasts on Podbean, and to follow us. Remember that in doing the tagging of your neighborhood, you are spreading the gospel of the kingdom. So save lives and save your own lives. So wow, we are in that great moment concerning the great topic of that series about who were these people. And the purpose of this series is to show you the experiences that the characters of the constitution of the kingdom of heaven can give you through their history as recounted in the book, the constitution, the Bible. These lessons are very useful to furnish you your daily life on the financial, family, social, political, and economic and other levels. So remember that today's the topic concerns the 12 sons of Israel, Jacob. Remember that previously we were talking about Jacob. Jacob as a special character, a patriarch. So you certainly know some and you know less about others. But I will show you that the birth of each of them and their consideration as princes, regardless of the origin of their birth, are not the result of chance. Welcome this time to the chapter that explains why the nation of Israel is so strong and tenacious, so good at economics and defensive strategy. Yes, we have a big plan today. Our plan is about the presentation of the six first sons of Leah: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulon. So that is really, really important to stay focused in the message on the message of today. So we will gradually talk about the first six sons between Jacob and Leah, and we will share who they were, how they lived, and what lessons God, the Holy Spirit, wants to give us through their history. So, if you are ready, we will start with the first one, Reuben. So, who was Reuben? If someone is asking to you, who was Reuben? What will be your answer? His name means to see a son. For when he was born, The Constitution says this in Genesis chapter 29, verse 32 about him. And Leah, his mother, conceived and bare a son, and named him Reuben, meaning see a son. For she said, the Lord has seen my affliction. Now my husband will love me. His birth is estimated in 1569 before Christ at Padan Aram, and his death is estimated in 1445 before Christ. The occurrences of his name and the root of his name to speak of him have been found exactly 92 times in the Bible. Reuben is the firstborn of what will become the people of ancient Israel. So, he is the firstborn of all the Israelites. He is the first son of Jacob and Leah, and he is the first citizen of the people of Israel. Unfortunately, among his brothers, he is the first witness to the lack of love that his mother Leah suffered from his father Jacob. This state of affairs will cause him so many wounds that he will go so far as to commit infamous acts against his own father by sleeping with father's concubine Bilhah. And you know that this concubine was the servant of Rachel. She was the servant of Rachel, the little sister of his mother Leah. It was given in marriage to Jacob by Rachel. She was given in marriage by Rachel because Rachel saw that she was unable to give birth for her husband. So you see how hatred for Rachel and contempt for her father all led the life of this tortured man. It was to such an extent that he lost his birthright. Remember that previously we were talking about the birthright in that context. We are in the context of all the first humans before us, and we are talking about that period where the birthright was really, 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 really important for us, for them, sorry. So, to continue on Reuben, it is to Reuben that Issachar owes his birth because he took mandrakes to give them to his mother, who exchanged them for a night of sex with Jacob. Throughout the history of his life, we can therefore perceive his rage against his father and his protective love for his mother, even to attract the rage of his father and the opprobrium of his life. From Genesis 37 to Genesis 47, Reuben is intrinsically marked as a very loving person towards his brothers and his family. I, I can explain it to you. Remember the story of the sale of Joseph. First, Reuben hated the idea of selling Joseph from the first moment. He refused this consequence resulting from the jealousy expressed by his brothers. Consequently, Reuben quickly mobilized to feed his family in times of famine. Toward the end of his life, Jacob withdrew Reuben's birthright and gave it to Joseph's two sons. He did this because he considered that latter more valiant and worthy than Reuben. Reuben had four sons, and although he lost his birthright, he did not lose his status as firstborn. And in all the atlases and chronicles of Israel in the Bible, this is always recalled from Genesis to Apocalypse to Revelations. Now, let's talk about the second one, Simeon. Who was Simeon? The name of Simeon means fulfillment because when he was born, The Constitution said this in Genesis chapter 29, verse 34. He conceived again and bare a son, and said, The Lord heard that I was hated, and he gave me this one to me. And she called him Simeon, meaning fulfillment. So Simeon or Shimon in the second of the 12 is the second of the 12 sons of Jacob and Leah in Genesis. Simeon died at the age of 120, the same year Joseph died. He is the second son of 12 between Jacob and Leah. His year of birth is estimated at 1568 before Christ in Haran. Simeon adopted Shaul, the son of his sister Dinah, conceived after his rape by Shechem. Jacob cursed his understanding with Levi when they took the life of the people from whom the one who raped Dinah came. What hurt more in this case was that these people agreed to evade the condition of circumcision to redeem the crime of rape. For this Jacob declared that Simeon's children would be scattered throughout Israel. Same thing for Levi. Throughout Simeon's appointment in the Bible, indeed, we see that the children of Simeon are really little represented as a strong tribe. Simeon married his sister Dinah in order to save her from being a raped woman, and she was their only sister and could not mingle with just anyone. That is what the Jewish tradition is talking. His name and the occurrences in his name are mentioned 53 times in all the Bible. Then Simeon divorced her, and then she became the wife of Job the Hushite, from whom she had 7 children according to Jewish tradition. Simeon was so criminal in his understanding. He was far too focused on shedding blood when he was angry or did not like something or someone. Along with God, they are the two who offered to kill Joseph when they went to Egypt to buy the wheat. It was he whom Joseph had looked up to free him when Benjamin arrived. I can say that because of the value of his name, Simeon had a self-sufficiency feeling. You can find his complete story in the book of Genesis. Now, let's talk about one of the famous ones, Levi, the third one. The third one is Levi, and his name means attachment because when he was born, Constitution testified this in Genesis chapter 29, verse 34. Leah conceived again and bare a son, and said, For this time shall my husband cleave unto me, for I have borne him three sons. Therefore he was called Levi, meaning attachment. Along with God, there are the two who offered to kill Joseph, as we were saying previously. When they went to Egypt to buy the wheat, he was he was not the one that he was not the one that Joseph took, but he was the one who were talking about Joseph to his father at the end of the time with Reuben. His year of birth is estimated at 1566 before Jesus Christ to pardon Aram, and his year of death is estimated at 1429 before Jesus Christ. So let us touch a little bit his biography. Levi, aged 8, entered the land of Canaan at 28 years old. Levi marries Melchah. Levi has 3 sons, Gershon, Kehat, and Merari. Kehat is born in the 35th year of Levi. Merari is born in the 40th year of Levi. Jochebed and Amram, the parents of Miriam, Aaron, and Moses, are all descendants of Levi. In Genesis chapter 34, Levi kills Shechem and then Simeon kills Hamor, and he is under the same curse as Simeon. Then he is someone who is also feared by his younger brothers as the third born. His thirst for blood was too strong in his youth. He was cursed in part because he did not know how to curb his beastly ardor. His brothers had to watch the dry well to protect Joseph for 3 days and 3 nights to prevent him from being killed by Levi and Simeon. His name and references to his name are recorded for 410 times in the constitutions. Wow, he was really famous among his brothers. You will ask me why? Just because he inherited a noble function that he is the priestly function. The word priest was first spotted in the Constitution in Genesis chapter 14, verse 18, and it says there, in Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought bread and wine. Now he was a priest of the Most High God. That's where we heard the word priest for the first time. Now, the priest is therefore the one who constantly reminds his environment of the presence of the Most High and leads those around him to pray, to seek his will, and to submit to him, to remember him every time and every day. But I would like to point out something to you. The fact that Levi began to be interested in the function of the priest did not prevent him from shedding blood, from trying to kill his brother, and from not receiving a blessing from his father. Let me tell you that this ambiguity of character and practice of life has saturated the whole Jewish religion as far as the priests and later the Pharisees are concerned. Nowadays, it is the religious pastors, prophets, and doctors and other religious figures who are victims of this perpetual ambiguity. This is why religion is harmful and cannot be good for anyone. These are its hypocritical origins revealed. Okay, let us talk about Judah, the lion. We were talking about Reuben, the firstborn, Simeon, the bloodshedder, Levi, the priest. Right now, we are talking about Judah, the lion. So, who was Judah, the lion? His name and the occurrences for his names are about 878 times. That is really insane because between his brothers, he is the most famous, the most high. Judah is a blessed son, the fourth son of Jacob and Leah. His name means praise because when he was born, the Constitution testified this in Genesis chapter 29, verse 35. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, this time I will praise the Lord. Therefore she called him Judah, meaning praise, and she ceased to have children. Judah's date of birth is estimated to be 1566 before Jesus Christ in the current Iraq in Mesopotamia. Judah died at the age of 119. The particularity of Judah that really set him apart from all his brothers is that his mother Leah named her fourth son Judah out of gratitude in order to thank God for granting her to be so fruitful. She did not name him with the idea of claiming or begging for the love from her husband Jacob. In Hebrew, the appropriate verb for the birth of Judah, which is to praise, is lehobot, meaning to thank, to acknowledge. Among the 12 sons of Jacob, he stands out many times in the text of Genesis. He convinces his older brothers to sell Joseph to a caravan of Ishmaelites rather than let him die in the well. During the episode of the famine, he vouches for Benjamin to their father in order to take him to Egypt at the request of the viceroy, who is in fact Joseph. He offers himself to the viceroy of Egypt, Joseph, to allow Benjamin to return to Jacob when they are accused of theft. Judah is a leader of troops. I can say that he has the sense to make decisions in times of crisis. He knows how to position useful interests against futile ones. During the last blessings of Jacob to his sons, it was right that Judah was put forward. His own father presents him as a leader compared to his older brothers Reuben, who betrayed his father with Bilhah, and Simeon and Levi, who were considered really violent. In Genesis chapter 49, verse 8 to 12, Judah do art. It is written that Judah, now we are talking about the blessing of Jacob, and it is written that Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy land shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion's whelp, from the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? The sceptre shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be, binding his foal unto the vine, and his ass is called unto the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Wow, what a blessing! It is really, really, really incredible, and that is justifying why Judah was the famous one between his brothers. Judah first had two sons, Er and Onan, who died in the land of Canaan, and I know that you know. Shelah, Peretz, and Zerah are the three sons of Judah who lived with their father and grandfather Jacob to settle in Egypt in the land of Goshen in the Nile Delta. Peretz and Zerah are the result of the affair between Judah and his former daughter-in-law. This last statement will give us a nice lesson at the end of this episode about the 12 dreaded sons of Israel. So let's talk about the fourth one, Issachar. Who was Issachar? The peace man. Issachar, or Issachar in Hebrew, is one of those sons of whom I'm sure many have no interest among the 12. The occurrences of the name Issachar in the Constitution is 40 times in the Constitution. His name means man of the reward. He is the ninth son of Jacob and the fifth of Leah's seven children parent, Padan Aram. He is the fifth of the six sons of Jacob and Leah in the Genesis account. Issachar got married at the age of 30. Issachar makes his testament his testament and died at the age of 122. So the name of Issachar is explained just in the text of Genesis chapter 13, verse 16 to 18. Remember, I explained the episode of the mandrake to you when I was talking about Reuben. In verse 16, we can read that, and Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah came out to meet him, and said, to me you will come, for I have hired you for my son's mandrake. And he slept with her that night. And God heard Leah, and she conceived and bare Jacob a fifth son. And Leah said, God hath given me my wages, because I gave my maid to my husband. And she called his name Issachar. In Hebrew, The word rent represents the expression sakar sekatika, to say, in other words, you are my reward or you are my salary. The word salary is sekari in Hebrew to qualify the salary, the wage. So I can say that the name of Issachar alludes to these rewards and at the same time to the higher mentioned in the verse 16. This name, man of wages, is at the origin of the nickname Iscariot, given to Judas Iscariot. According to analysts, to, to the expert analyst Jerome, Judas Iscariot took his name either from the village where he was born or maybe from the tribe of Issachar. So much so that I can say he was born somehow under the omen of his doom. You know what if you read the verse in its full meaning in Hebrew, and well, Issachar means wages to indicate the remuneration of the traitor. Tola, Phua, Jasub, and Semron are the four sons of Issachar who lived with their father and grandfather Jacob to settle in Egypt in the land of Goshen in the Nile Delta. In the blessing of the dying Jacob to his sons, Issachar is associated with the donkey. So we can say that Issachar is a donkey. Why? Just because his father also spoke about the fact that Issachar will profit from the fruits of the labor of the earth. So this donkey is a representation of a self-sacrificing and self-sacrificing man who eats his bread without worry. The comparison made between Issachar, son of Jacob, and a strong-boned donkey undoubtedly underlines a quality that was also manifested by the tribe begotten by Issachar. You can read it in Genesis chapter 49, verse 14 to 15. The land that fell to him was unmistakably nice, a fertile part of Palestine good for agriculture. It seems that Issachar took the hard work that awaited him to show him off. His goodwill is shown in the prediction that he will hunch his shoulder to bear the burdens. So, although they did not stand out much, the tribe of Issachar was apparently worthy of praise for taking on their responsibility. Okay, now let's talk about the last son of this day. Let's talk about Zebulun. Who was Zebulun? The navigator, the seaman, Zebulon. The occurrences of the name Zebulon in the Constitution is 49 times in the Constitution. When Zebulon was born, Leah said, God gave me a beautiful gift. This time my husband will live with me, for I bore him 6 sons. And she called him name Zebulon. In Genesis chapter 30, verse 20, Zebulun is mentioned in the Genesis account. He is the 10th son of Jacob and the 6th son of Leah. What is more important here in the case of Zebulun is his name, which means at the same time to inhabit, to bind, to attach, to remain, and gift. God behind Zebulun in front of his older brothers, begged them not to kill him. Zebulun helped Joseph when they were trying to kill him. And these differences take on their significance when Jacob declares that Zebulun will be a great navigator and a great fisherman. He will also be a great trader. Jacob declares of Zebulun that it is in fact he who will open the sea gates of his people to other peoples. I personally love Zebulun in the spontaneous confidence that Joseph placed in him in the danger of his brothers wishing to kill him. So Joseph put all his confidence in Zebulun at that time, knowing intrinsically that Zebulun will protect him. So let us talk about our lessons of today. The lessons of the day for me are firstly concerning Reuben. We understand easily through his life that when we do not pay attention at what we are doing in front of our children, we are building future monsters. Scientists say that when the family is not stable, the child will not be stable in his mind and will always take the part of the unfortunate parents. In this case, it was Leah, and Reuben make it paid to his father. Regarding Simeon and Levi, there were two belligerents, and this is what we must remember from Levi and Simeon, who were finally dispersed among their brothers, so that we do not feel the weight of their presence, but we can feel the weight of the presence of Levi as a priest, but not of Simeon, not too much. Imagine the relationship between each of the children of Simeon and Levi. How much could this be with the objective of not being able to be truly united? The apostle said that we must be moderate in everything. You have to be aware of your feelings, of your motivations, of your actions. The important lesson about Judah is to be aware of our characteristic lion, of princes and princesses. We must ask the Lord to give us a coherent spirit of initiative for times of crisis like Judah. Although their history is not sufficiently fleshed out, one can easily observe that Issachar and Zebulon were easygoing men, and it made their blessings truly hit the quality of their hearts. Let us only note the quality of the name given to the children and the basis of our statements when we know that Issachar and Iscariot are assimilated in the deep sense. Wow, it is all for today. And today we started with the 12 sons of Jacob for this series. We will certainly do this mini topic of that big series in 2 episodes. So rendezvous to the next Thursday. We talked about Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. And at the end, we will have important lessons given by the testimony of their lives consecrated by the Bible. I am pretty sure that you have your own lessons about this teaching. Thank you so much for being connected during this live and this big series. Do you already follow us on our platforms? If you are on YouTube, thank you for putting a blue thumb to activate the bell to receive all our news. If you discover our stream on Facebook, then subscribe and like our page. Leave us a tweet on Twitter. Also find our podcast on Podbean. I will always repeat it. I will always remind it because you must tag your friend. You must share our teaching. You must share our videos. It is really important to spread the gospel of the kingdom. Remember that you can find us in Rumble and BitChute. Share our content. Invite your friend in our page. You can tag them in the comment box to invite them further if possible. Remember to stay focused in every moment of this life and let us see ourselves at the top where eagles are alive, are living, and are flying. Bye bye.